where we round out is we all agree that Game of the Year is Final Fantasy VII's Crisis Core Reunion.
Shut up, Brady. In Lordran, time is convoluted, and because of that, Bonnie was our previous episode where we talked to an author. She shat on Brady for most of the episode. It was pretty fucking good.
It was good. She was one of us immediately.
If you didn't watch it, go back, stop this episode, turn off your computer, turn your phone on, and watch that episode. I don't know why you'd do that, but that's what you need to do.
Why do you have to be on the computer to watch us?
Because you don't watch YouTube off a phone. That's stupid. And half our subscribers gone. But anyway, welcome to Basement Discourse. I'm Jace.
I'm also not Jace. I'm here and I'm Justin.
Fuck that guy.
And as a self-intro, I guess I'm Brady, but I'm not entirely positive.
That's fair. So today we're thinking, the year's ending. We've played at least a game this year. So we should probably talk about games that we've played. Now, I think we start with the dog shit. We gotta start from the bottom.
Work our way up. That's way more fun.
So I know Brady he's got a bit of a stacked list of poo-poo games. So
mostly because I'm sad about it. So as a weeb,
sad.
I was also as a weeb. I was sad about this because, so I was super keen for both of these, even though one of them I was skeptical to get my hopes up for, but the other one, this is the most disappointed I've been in. But I'll go through real quick. I'm not even going to talk about Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I believe, because I don't care that much for their remake games anyway. And then these ones, they made everything real chippy. And I was like 3 seconds in and I was like, I just don't care. It's probably a fine remake. It looked almost frame for frame, but in a new art style. It didn't really seem like they'd done anything to update the game and remake games.
Yeah, that sounds more like it'd tickle my fancy, but I ain't buying a Switch.
Didn't play with me that well. Next is Sonic Frontiers. Now, I'm a huge Sonic fan. He's literally tattooed on me. Love Sonic. Thought this one might be all right. All the things that make Sonic good, they've just yeeted it out the window. Trying to do an open world Sonic game is a bizarre concept in the first place. I think it's one of the last games that lends itself really well to stages, and you should probably just keep that. And they do have those elements in there, but for a lot of it, you're trying to do open world boss fights, and it just it's a mess. Yeah. The camera gets fucked up by it because you're moving too quick. That's why stages are a better idea. It's just a fucking mess. I can't see what I'm doing 50% of the time, and the camera just yeets off somewhere else, and I'm falling through the sky, and it's a mess. Sonic Frontiers. Also, I miss the epic, has no business being so good cinematics of every Sonic game, except for this one. Even Sonic Heroes had a good cinematic. Sonic Unleashed had a beautiful cinematic for just no good reason. But for some reason, this one, they were like, nah, PS2 graphics at best. That's what you get.
See, that's one thing I find really weird is Mario managed to do a full 3D sort of game, but it never went one of the cool things about how they did Mario 64 was doing it in a sense of they still made it stages. And if you think about the Sonic Adventure games, still the same. Sonic Generations, the same. And then other good Sonic games, I'm currently playing through Sonic Mania, which is sort of a very nostalgic throwback style game. Again, all stages. Because the game really lends itself to get from point A to point B, however the fuck you want, as fast as you can, and don't die. And
100%.
That doesn't work in an open world.
It also doesn't work. They've included an almost RPG-esque element to it with leveling. But it's not leveling. You can level individual stats, and it's stupid. It's Sonic. I just want to fucking be the best at this A to B.
Yeah.
But instead, I can just like fuck off for a bit, leave a mission completely alone, get faster, literally up the speed stat, and then go back and just be better at that level, doing it as doghouse as I did it in the first place. But he's running faster, so I get a better time. And that, to me, is not Sonic. And I think they fucked that up royally. Last, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. There will be a lot of little clips down here of just ridiculousness. This game is bugged to the shithouse, and it's because Pokemon released 3 games in the same year, and I'm 100% sure that's why. They just split their resources too many ways. They've got their remake game, their original game, which they got a lot of praise for. We might talk about it later. And then they sort of took that and just broke it up for their new one, and it's just trash. It's bugged to the hell house. The storyline's weird. For some reason, I'm a school student, but then they just dropped that after making you go through 20 minutes worth of cutscenes. They're like, cool. So as a school student, your mission, collect 8 gym badges. I'm like, what was the point of this? Why did I have to run around and go to classes and go to the fucking cafeteria for you to yeet me off on a normal Pokemon game? It was, yeah, so they're my worst only because that I was so fucking excited for them, and they've just chronically let me down as someone who has both Pokemon and Sonic tattoos, and there's both of them back here. Like, it's just sad.
Yeah, that's fair. Now,
Sounds like a disappointing year for you.
Every year's a disappointing year for him.
Yeah.
Woke up, looked down, went, ah, shit, it's still me.
Yeah, rough time. Now, the last one that we had on the list is a game that Justin and I got to experience firsthand.
Yep.
Brady,
you guys did a scuffed review on this one, didn't you?
We did.
There is a review that Brady will link somewhere around here.
Awesome.
Just throw up a title somewhere. But yeah, Crossfire X. Now, Justin and I, we were trawling Xbox Live, looking for some good stuff. And we found this one that claimed to be, was a sequel to like a critically acclaimed game, apparently.
Yeah, maybe something like that. It claimed high accolades, that's for sure. So, FPS were like, cool, first person shooter, let's do it. It was whack from start to end. The busy screen at the start where it's basically just trying to like sell you a game pass, and you're like, I don't need any of this shit. Like, I don't want a season pass or any other thing that you've got going on for you right now. I just want to try and play the game. You're like, how the fuck do I even start? And then we're like, all right, I guess we try this. And then we load in. And
I think even the game modes were
okay.
fucked up. Like, I think they had stupid fucking names.
Yeah.
That didn't make sense. It was like fucking Arsenal and I don't know, fucking Habitat or just random fucking words.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think probably the most frustrating thing for me was looking down like the sights, and then as you fire, it takes you out of looking down the sights every bullet you do. So you've got like a semi-automatic. You're aiming down sights, but as soon as you press shoot, it pulls you out of the aim and back to like hip fire every time. Every bullet.
You can't fire from
sights.
Looking down sights.
ADS
doesn't work.
So are they trying to be somewhat realistic with that you can't
I have no idea. I feel like it's just not working.
It's just like bang.
Yeah, no.
It's just whack.
So it's not like you're going from like here and then it's just like recoiling. A normal view and shot.
Yeah.
It's like you're going from here and then when you fire, he pulls it back down and he starts firing.
But it's exactly where you're aiming too. So it's not like it plays out like a recoil shot is. Wherever you aimed is where you then hit, but it's also impossible to tell where you aimed because you're now no longer zoomed in. So you're like, did I shoot it or not? And then by the time you work that out, you're probably dead. It's like, fuck.
Just no point behind sights. Awesome.
I've been playing first person shooters since the mid-90s, early 90s, because like hell, I played Doom and shit like that. But any of those games, once they had the ability to aim down sights, none of them that I've ever played have pulled you out of ADS when you're taking a shot.
Yeah, that was probably the most broken part of this entire game. And then after that, I just didn't give a shit. Like, it was just terrible anyway.
the only thing you really need to get right in a first-person shooter is the gunplay. If you can't get that right, your game's fucking shit. Done.
Yeah,
And
you know that wasn't the only thing either. Like movement was janky. Like there was huge
When was
delays.
this?
Obviously,
So
the
this game
servers were
was
broke
this
as
year
fuck.
as well.
yeah,
This game is
This
this
wasn't
year.
you guys found it this year. It was this year release.
Yeah, we found
Yeah.
it as it
Damn.
came out, sort of thing. So it was pretty shit, and I don't think it's ever gotten any better. Like I've not read many good reviews at all, and I feel like the only good reviews must have been done by the people who made it, because like they just sound really obvious. Like, this is best game ever. You must download this now. It is good. Like it's
it was
real
all reviews
dodgy.
like that.
Yeah.
But if you check out the scuffed game review that we did of it, like
You'll
there's
see.
actual like footage of it that where we recap people's reviews and shit like that. So like,
yeah, it's a laugh. So
it was a
yeah,
spice
that
of
was
it.
definitely the worst game I think I played this year out of any. And I played a lot of like free indie games that were on Game Pass just to see what they were like. This one took the cake, and this was meant to be like a almost AA title of sorts, like from some unknowns. Like, yeah, just a joke. So yeah.
So with that in mind, while you're still gasbagging, Justin, what are your
Yes.
honorable mentions for this year? Like what hit a spot for you?
Well, obviously, from the title of the video, we're getting to number one.
Yeah, we're going to build up to that, I suppose. So for me, I think one of the cool surprises was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge game.
Yep.
Are we building up from the bottom of this list, guys, or are we just picking them? And then
Just so
the
I
obvious
was going to
one?
say, do a couple
Anything
you
but
want
what
to
your
talk
number
about,
one is.
and then we'll scissors, paper, rock some shit.
Right. Okay. Well, that was definitely one of my picks for like the probably. I mean, I guess you call it an indie or at least a remake or whatever. It wasn't original though, so it wasn't like an old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. It just looked and played like an old Ninja Turtles game, so which was really rad. So I'm a huge fan of that type of game, Streets of Rage being my favorite one. And I'm not sure if Streets of Rage. No, we missed out on Streets of Rage 4. I think that was last year, maybe. But yeah,
possibly.
yeah. But this was a lot of fun, and it was cool. You could have people jump in and jump out, so players could just join whenever they wanted. And it was easy enough to play that even my daughter would just jump on and play with me, and she's 5. So, you know, it's just a good little bit of a fun, like a bit of a laugh, like a slow story progression that really you don't care about that much because it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you know you're just going to fight something big by the end of it. So, yeah, it was good. Yeah. I'd definitely say anyone could jump on, have a crack. It's got like some tiny level progression sort of stuff on your players that you can level them up, but nothing too serious. So just good for a laugh, you know?
Yeah.
That would be one of my picks for the indies.
I had a great time. I played it with my partner, Claire. Much the same thing. She's not a heavy gamer by any means, and we enjoyed the shit out of what we played, and she was pregnant. So that I think that says a lot.
I don't know how, but sure.
Yep.
Because someone who's not a gamer did something in a state of mind where they were not ready to play games.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Sorry, I had to explain that to you. Fucking.
Did you play it at all, Jace?
Yeah, I played it at your
MMP,
place.
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I forgot we did that. Yeah, that was sick.
I had a good time.
Oh, we did stuff in person.
Yeah, no,
no.
We don't do that often.
We didn't even film a scuffed game review either. Fucking
dang.
Because it wasn't scuffed. It's a good game. Plays
no,
well.
it's the review that's scuffed, not the game.
But we just
in Crossfire's example.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like it's both.
Bad way to do the examples there. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I had a lot of fun. Like, I've always been a big fan of like Streets of Rage, Double Dragon, games like that. Like, I'm not the hugest beat 'em up fan, but I've always enjoyed that sort of game. So, you know, having that throwback, seeing like great soundtrack, good mechanics, it's enjoyable and something you can just jump into.
Yep.
Fucking, you know, it definitely deserves its place.
Ticks all the boxes. I think a game that they tried to do similar but sort of failed on that behalf, while we're on the very bottom of the list, would be Space Jam's game that they brought out for the whole movie release thing. So they asked the fans. This was a fan decision for this game to come out in the style it did, but it was just so I don't know, it was poorly done. It just seemed like it was rushed out just because it was based off of a movie and whatnot. So you can only play as 4 characters, which, you know, considering how many characters are in Space Jam, you'd think, well, why not introduce all of them? Because all they are skins, basically. Why not? You can only play as 4 characters, and one of them was friggin' LeBron. So it was like, eh. Yeah, it was just kind of lame.
Did you ever play the OG Space Jam game?
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Man, I got way too good at that terrible game.
That sums up your entire gaming experience.
Yeah.
Like every game you
bad
talk about
choices.
how you're really good at, aside from Pokemon games and Final Fantasy.
So it was like playing the Blitzball thing in Final Fantasy X.
God.
So yeah, so like if you just learned 1 or 2 little mechanics, you could just repeat them. And in the OG Space Jam one, it was Bugs could do this weird like jump over everybody and just do like a bunch of flips, and it was just weird. And MJ could do that thing he did at the end of the movie where his
The
arms
stretched
extended.
arm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Wait.
nice.
So it was
No, I'm closing my fist.
yeah. So it was real. Yeah, it was one of those games. It wasn't built very well, but it was fun when I was younger. So I was wondering if that was it, but it doesn't sound like it.
No, this is just exactly like the TMNT thing, but poorly done. So yeah. Anyway,
Damn.
yeah. And then the other one that I didn't add to the list that I've only just sort of started
Man's just
thinking of.
adding on to his
I know,
turn.
right? My bad.
So I was like, well, scissors,
Weird
paper,
West.
rocket, a turn.
Weird West. So you guys probably haven't played this one. It came out on this year as well. But I really enjoyed it. It was sort of that semi top-down view style like Diablo games are looking. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah,
It's called isometric.
Okay, cool. The isometric sort of strategy-esque sort of game. So you can sort of strategize how you're going to attack something before it happens and work it all out. But it's a lot of fun. But it's not turn-based. So yeah, it was interesting. Yeah,
Okay.
it was a lot of fun.
Cool.
But anyway, I just thought I'd throw that one out there real quick. But
Since he just
carry
fucking
on.
did his whole thing, Jace, do you want a scissors, paper, rocket?
No, you just go.
Defeat.
All right.
We don't have time for games in this.
In this
All right,
game,
mate?
chat.
Fair enough. Games in our gaming talk. So one last worst I thought of while Jace was Justin was talking actually is multiverses. You guys heard of this?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I didn't play it because it looked like shit from the get-go.
It's
Yeah.
terrible. Yeah. So it is.
Do you buy all of these games and then just realize later that they're like you never looked up a review?
So the other ones, yes, I didn't buy this because I did watch the reviews and
Ah,
because I
okay,
already knew it was going to be bad because anything that tries to emulate Smash Brothers is always terrible because Smash
Yeah.
Brothers is only good if you're super into Smash Brothers, and if you're not, it plays well. That's its difference to these other copycats. None of them ever play well. They're always glitchy. They're always shit. They're always stupid. And I knew it was going to be bad from the start when they used meme Shaggy. So there's this for some reason internet meme of Shaggy going Super Saiyan and Shaggy doing Ultra Instinct from Dragon Ball. I don't know why. It started as a joke and then people started doing animated videos of it on YouTube, like Shaggy versus Goku. That's what they put in the game though, because for whatever reason Warner Brothers owns Scooby-Doo as well as Dragon Ball, as well as DC. So there was like Superman teaming up with Shaggy with a yellow aura with his hand standing up on end. It was so fucking dumb and terrible. I was like, I'm not touching that. And then I've just seen the glitch reviews and nah. So that gets another worst. Real quick, I'll go through the ones I put up. Horizon Forbidden West, I got no complaints except that it was very much same as a sequel. Typically with sequels, I'm looking for, I want to continue the plot, especially if it was a good plot, but I'd like a little bit more new gameplay, some new mechanics. They really didn't do that. They were like, here's some new enemies to fight and much of the same. And that's been basically every review I've read has said pretty much the same thing.
Was
Still
it a
had a
different
great time.
environment? Like, did the environment
Yeah.
look different? Right, okay.
Yeah, but I mean like elementally different. Like it was like, oh look, a desert. Oh look, the ocean. Like it wasn't. It was beautiful. Like the game was stunning, and I have no complaints. That's what I mean. Like I just don't have much to say about it because it was fun to play. My only complaints are nothing changed. It was much the same. And I was like, cool, I will probably play the third because I need to see this to its fucking conclusion in a story, but not because I'm thoroughly invested in the gameplay, because I'm just not. Miles Morales, I forgot this was this year because this felt at best DLC to Spider-Man. It was so fast, and it was purely, there was different mechanics. He did do different moves to Spidey, and there was a couple cool details where when Miles was flying, because he's new to it, flying through the air, swinging, he looks inexperienced. Like, he literally accidentally spins around too far sometimes when you're doing shit. And when you land on a building's edge, he's like, whoa, instead of like when you play as Peter where it's a smooth landing. So detail went in a way, but you can tell they took the map, they took everything and just reskinned it to look like Christmas, because Miles is set at Christmas time. And it was a very short game. And I know heaps of people complained about this because it was the same price as the first one. It was like $110, and it was 15 hours max, I reckon.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah, very short for the amount of money that you're paying.
Yeah, it sounds like DLC at best.
DLC at best. I was very surprised. And then you see the trailer for the third one, and it's got the two of them together, and you're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was going to be DLC till they realized they could get extra money. That's.
I wonder what the concept for the next one's going to be, whether or not you just be able to switch characters mid-game, or whether it's just going to be the co-op
Possibly.
version.
I know Venom's a huge component of it, so we'll see how it goes. I'll put the little trailer bit there. Pokemon Arceus. So this I do have things to talk about, because from what I can tell, they ported a lot of it to Scarlet and Violet, but they didn't consider the ramifications of doing so. So Pokemon Arceus was cool because it was a complete throw up of the Pokemon formula. First of all, you're playing in the past, and they set you up as if you know nothing about Pokemon, and the player actually gets to learn about it from these people who know nothing about Pokemon, instead of people tell you, this is a world of Pokemon. Go out and do this exact path.
Oh, so you're like in a world of discovery in this one.
It's like frontiering.
Okay, cool.
Huh.
It's very cool. Like, the Pokeballs are all wooden and shit. You sneak up on Pokemon from the long grass and you try and catch them without even having to battle. They just tried a little bit to just be like, here's a random formula. It's also set in Edo era Japan, so obviously I fuck with that. But the way they did it was really well done. It threw the formula on its head, and I appreciate that. They included new balls. Like, they had Pokeballs for weight of the Pokemon. So they had a heavy ball for how big a Pokemon is. Like, these sort of things were really cool to play with and interesting, and they had alpha Pokemon that were like bigger and angrier and stuff like that. But it was a good time. I enjoyed that. It just felt like Scarlet and Violet were like, oh, we're going to take some of those concepts, like the Pokemon walking around, like Sword and Shield did that already, instead of, you guys remember the old ones where you walk in the grass, you go into an encounter and you're in a battle. This is very different. Literally in Arceus was the first one where you'd enter a battle and you as the player could just run around the battle. You still get your menu screen with what to do, and the Pokemon was still somewhat fixed, but you could move around.
Is there any benefit to it though?
Camera angles, you could see the effort they put into making everybody look like they're fighting.
Yeah,
not a lot.
It'd just be interesting. Like, it'd just be like you just run off.
Yeah,
leave your Pokemon to fight its own.
You can. If you run too far in Arceus, I'm pretty sure it just ends the fight and the Pokemon returns to you, whereas you can't quite do that in their new one, and it fucks stuff up because obviously they've made it glitchy as hell and stuff gets really weird. Also in the new one, for some reason, I sent Jace a video, Pokemon can just like run in on the fight.
Oh,
but
yeah.
they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's just because it's in the wild, and if they were there already, they'll just like walk through it.
Yeah, like there's moments in like Red Dead where you're like having a conversation, and then the guy you're having a conversation with gets hit by like a horse or a deer in the wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love watching that shit.
No, I do think Arceus was cool. It was a big throw on the formula. Even like I mentioned as a joke, it's an isekai because for once you're a person who's thrown into the Pokemon world instead of just being this kid who has a mom with no dad moving to a new place and meeting the town. So which is, look, whether it's a Japanese anime cliche or not, it is new to the Pokemon formula. So that was cool. I enjoyed that they mess around. So I think it's a decent contender for.
They tried to do something new, and that's that's pretty out there for Pokemon
and I
these
think
days.
those are the ones I pretty much messed with this year. I put some other things on there, but I think they're all I've got to talk a lot about.
They're
Because
your
you talked about
highlights.
Shredder's Revenge. Because
They're your highlights, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're pretty high up on there.
Cool.
Jace, as the actual gamer, both for our show and just if you ranked us all as gamers, unfortunately, I have to concede that you're probably the best.
Yes.
Most experienced.
Yeah, that's a better.
Also, yes.
I'm not going to say the best because it really, it depends on the game,
Yeah, like
Man,
from playing some shit game like Sonic 4D Sex Simulator, Brady's
I'll probably
got me
win.
there.
Yeah.
And anything to do with turn-based strategy games, you're probably second. But I think most of the others,
maybe.
you're probably up there. You're probably up there.
Yeah, I think it depends on what turn-based strategy we're talking
Unless it's
about.
Blood Bowl, then yeah, everyone's better than me.
It depends if you want to do game-breaking strategies as well.
Oh yeah, fucking King Min Max over here.
Yeah.
All right, so I do have a few worthable mentions. So firstly, there was Tiny Tina's Wonderland, which is kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah, I'm into two thoughts about that.
So while I really love the idea, it kind of fell flat for me.
They missed it. They missed the mark that they had when they did it first. When they first did it back in Borderlands 2, there was some magic there, and I don't know what it was exactly that made it so good.
Yeah,
I don't know. It just really stood out back then.
I have a feeling that part of it is because they focused on like getting too much into the like medieval stuff, like how all your weapons are like different crossbows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And actually having the board as more than just like a plot device and some interesting narrative, that kind of threw away from it, in my opinion. Whereas when you treat it just like a Borderlands game, you're going from A to B, but you're in this sort of Dungeons and Dragons-esque environment, I think that played out a lot better.
Yeah.
And that's what I personally prefer.
To be honest, I think they could have gotten rid of the board. Like, I liked exploring it, but at the same time, it kind of just got monotonous, and a lot of it was just completely pointless, or you just had to do it to get all the collectible shit. It was just kind of, you didn't really need to be there. Like, you really could have just played a Borderlands game, exactly like you said, and had that story narrative dropped in the background, and occasionally have it zoom back out to the tabletop where Tiny Tina does a little bit of a speech and carries on like she does and throws the dice down and all of a sudden grabs some massive miniature from out the back and then slams it down, and suddenly you're in this huge boss fight that you weren't anywhere near a boss fight for, and then you just got to kill this thing and then move on. That could have been an easy and a really good way to do it. And had the magic in there too, because I like the magic part of it. That was fun. So, having the spells and stuff and having the medieval-esque look to it was fine, but then they went too far with the tabletop style thing, I think. So.
Yeah, I think the reason that they succeeded so well to begin with like the original expansion was that it was just a light fusion between the elements.
Yeah.
Whereas if they made a whole game in that style, I think that would have been an absolute winner. So
I think we're all under the mindset that it was going to be like that too,
Yeah.
I think that's where we all kind of got sold on one thing and then had our expectations sort of not met by finding this other
so
thing.
I don't think it was a horrible game. It's worthwhile picking up if you're a big D&D nerd and if you like Borderlands.
Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't the winner for me.
No, it's definitely not Game of the Year, unfortunately, for Borderlands and, D&D fans alike. But, it'll be a good 20, 25, maybe 30 hours of gameplay for you. And, if you can find it for under, 30 Australian dollars, then go for it. That would be my suggestion. Is I'd be happy to pay maybe $40 at this point for that
Yeah.
game in
That's
all
fair.
of its glory. So yeah.
Another game worth mentioning, Session, skate game that's been in early access for a little while, dropped full release this year. Fantastic game. I've got a video which Brady will link right here. I keep pointing off screen. It's fucking great. So it'll appear on your second monitor because nobody watches this on a phone. Nobody listens to the show either. So the link will appear on your other monitor.
I'm
Congrats.
just driving in the car, like listening to the podcast, it just appears across this windshield. I can't see shit.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Brady. So the next thing, so Session, fantastic little game. The only part that really brings it down is that the controls are kind of odd. Now, I understand what they were trying to do because each thumbstick works as your different feet in skating. So if you're going like a normal stance, your right thumbstick is your right foot, left thumbstick is left foot.
Yeah.
And so to spin, you use the triggers and stuff like that. So it's awkward.
Sounds
But
very technical. Like, you know,
It's-
skate
seems
was
like they
somewhat
s-
technical, but
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like they saw what Skate did and were like, "We'll one up you, motherfuckers."
that's
they went
exactly
too
what they
far.
did.
mm,
Yeah, I think so. I think if you gave it enough time, you can really get a hang of it. But I kind of struggle a bit myself to like
just like get your hands to do what you want them to do. Like,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like rub your tummy and pat your head sort of style thing. Like, you know
Yeah.
what you're meant to do.
It sounds like
you know
it
the
because
theory of it,
Skate's
but
change with the way the thumbsticks would do what you wanted to happen, basically with the board, also kind of made sense with how you want your feet to move, but obviously both at once.
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
an ollie was pull back and flick forward, a kickflip was pull back and flick forward on an angle. That it felt so intuitive that when you were doing it, if you knew anything about skating, it wasn't a leap.
yeah.
That's
I
exactly.
feel
it.
like unless you know skating, this might be a little difficult. Also, I feel like you'd end up holding, like, I feel like you'd almost want to hold your controller. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say you'd be
you know
holding
what I
it
mean?
real
Like, you'd
weird.
front foot, back foot it. Like, that's how I would try and picture it in my head when I'm trying to think
Yeah, I
of,
just
okay, well, I know how to
realized
do a kickflip,
Jace
but
wasn't playing it with a controller though.
Yes, I was.
oh, you were?
Really?
Oh, there you go.
Holy hell.
Yeah. Holy shit.
What? How the fuck do you think I played Skate? Like, you think I'm playing Skate with fucking
Mouse.
mouse and keyboard?
Just the
on an
mouse.
Xbox?
Just
No,
sliding
one
the
of
mouse
those
up
like
and down.
trackpads with a trackpad.
Yeah, I'm using an old fucking IBM laptop.
You're playing with a tech deck that's connected to a controller somehow, so it senses the motions of
Perfect.
tech deck. Yep. Actually, there is a tech deck game coming up. I'm not sure if it's going to be this year or not, but I did see some early game footage of that, and that looks pretty interesting.
Yeah,
So it's like a figure skating game, which you're like skating around inside of a house, which is, you know, massive size. So yeah, it could be quite novel for about 5 minutes until you get sick of seeing your fucking hand in the way.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sort of on the fence about that one. But moving on, another one which is an interesting one in my opinion, Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster. Now, if you guys have ever played Final Fantasy VI, it was a Super Nintendo game, so that gives you an idea of its age. It was the last non-3D Final Fantasy game, but it also did use weird 3D elements, which have aged horribly on Super Nintendo. But so this basically rebuilt the game from the ground up with the original art style. So it's still all pixel art, but it's completely remastered in high res. It's redone all the like 3D effects and stuff, and like remastered all the audio, or re-recorded all the audio tracks and all that sort of shit. And so it's basically like, it's what I would consider like the perfect remaster of an old school game, because they've given you everything that you had. They haven't refreshed the visuals to a point where you're like, I don't want to deal with this. But it's just in the exact same spirit as the original. and I think that's the important part with that particular game, at least. So that one I just rate super highly because it's one of the best Final Fantasies ever made, in my opinion. Yeah, so you're
Shut
wrong.
up about
Brady.
it. Let's move on.
Nope, you're wrong. Final Fantasy VII can suck my ass, and so can 10. And then the last one I'll mention is just honorable mentions. Overwatch 2. It did nothing super new except got rid of one player per team and then refreshed some stuff. It really could have just been Overwatch 1.5, to be quite frank. But it came out this year and it's Overwatch, so I thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah. It's never going to be the runner up for like game of the year, though. I don't feel like it's just not that sort of a game, you know.
Like it did win Game of the Year awards in 2016 when the original came out, but sequels for games like this are never going to win Game of the Year.
No, it'll just always feel like an addition, which is why I think also Horizon might get some mentions, but ain't gonna get the same. Like it's also not gonna get
also Horizon is a cinematic game, so actually one that I just noticed isn't on our list, and probably because I don't think any of us give a fuck, is God of War.
Yeah, Ragnarok.
I was going to mention that. I also put COD Modern Warfare 2 on there because, you know, it's got mad hype, and I'm sure that there's going to be a bunch of people trying to fight.
I deliberately avoided remasters. I only mentioned the Pokemon one because I was shitting on Pokemon.
I don't think Modern Warfare 2 is a remaster.
I believe it is.
Isn't it the sequel to the reboot of the Modern Warfare franchise?
Oh, what the fuck? No, that can go to hell.
Yeah. There's all sorts of weird shit going on, and I don't like it.
Right.
But I also haven't played a Call of Duty
in a while. Yeah.
Black Ops 4?
I played Ghost when it came out on Xbox, but it was only to test the Xbox. It also came free with the Xbox, so I actually enjoyed that game for an Xbox, you know, day one. For 2013, that was, you know, it was fine. It was a Call of Duty game, but you know, it was a bit of nostalgia for, you know, getting online and shooting and whatever. But you know, they're all the same, so you know, it's much of a muchness. It was just, you know, it was interesting to see what they did with that one for the next gen back then.
Yeah. So, and I think Call of Duty falls into that same element as Overwatch. Like, no matter how many times they release it and re-release it, they're never going to be Game of the Year candidates. Because they're never that fresh of an experience. It's always the Call of Duty formula, and then they do or change certain things, which is fine if that's what you're into.
I'm interested to see if they brought out another Medal of Honor, because I feel like they're the ones that were different enough to be able to get an award. Like when Frontline came out, like
except that last one.
Yeah, I never played it. I never touched it.
That was
probably why they never will bring another one out, unfortunately. But you know, the Rising Sun one or whatever it was, like they're all very and
Allied
it's
Assault
pretty easy
was
because
fucking
you know,
wild.
yeah, you just pull anything from history and then make it interesting, which is fine, you know. But the Saving Private Ryan scene was just insane for its time, you know. So I feel like if Medal of Honor came out, they might have a chance of doing the impossible and trumping Call of Duty on that list. But yeah,
they'd have to focus on a single player campaign, in my opinion. I think the big thing is that Call of Duty's too like multiplayer focused, and multiplayers are never going to get that big Game of the Year because multiplayer is purely based on the people that you play with.
Like well, 2.0 is coming out soon for that, while we're talking about Call of Duties and all the rest of it. So again, never going to be a Game of the Year thing, because you know it is what it is. It's just a battleground thing. But yeah.
So just a quick callback there though to God of War. Will either of you guys play it?
I would love to if I had a PlayStation, but I'm not. Yeah.
I might get the 2018 one.
2018. That was amazing. Absolutely amazing and well deserved of its awards. But
so
I still feel like this is going to be much of a muchness. It's going to be almost the same.
Because it's a reboot, right?
You know,
so like the last one, the 2018 one was a reboot. So basically they jump mythologies is my understanding.
Yeah.
So they jump from Greek to Norse. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Right, yeah.
I don't care. I enjoyed the hell out of the first three. They've jumped mythologies. As far as I can tell, it's just because for whatever reason the whole Viking thing seems to still be trending. And the like I'm calling it a hook with the fucking kid. I found that even before entering parenthood or anything, I found that weird, creepy, and strange. I don't want to tell a child what to do in the middle of a very, very violent game, because in the first few, like, you literally would hack something to pieces and then bang some girls.
Yeah.
I don't want those things mixed up with, oh, now you're gonna parent this child along the route of this game. I just
this feels like it's aged along with its
I know
players,
it's won
though,
a
and
heap of
it's done well.
awards, but I just
Yeah.
I can't do it. And that's why I never put Ragnarok on the list, because I haven't played it, because it's a sequel to the game I didn't play.
I've heard great things for Ragnarok, as well as, obviously God of War 2018. But
Sure.
I'm not sure if it's going to be up there. I think it'll be close, though. Honestly, I think it'll be close with those guys.
So
they're going to
I
be
think
up there.
where we round out is we all agree that Game of the Year is Final Fantasy VII's Crisis Core Reunion.
Shut up, Brady.
Yeah, so that game hasn't come out at time of recording, and it's also a remake game, and we've discussed how we feel about remake games. No,
And I don't
guys,
really
what's
like
Game of the
Crisis
Year?
Core.
Come on, what's Game of the Year?
Let's let Justin say it, because he probably doesn't agree
Because he's
with
a
us.
bitch.
No, because he's probably not going to agree with us. So, what's
Really?
your Game of the Year?
Oh, I want to see this.
Look, I'm going to have to agree with you, because there's nothing that's arguably going to come up to its standard. I don't think, I haven't even played any other game as much as I have this one specifically. So
Also, I want to point out, you brought it to our attention. Like, we had noticed it. But I can go back and show the Basement Discourse clips where you were like, guys, watch the trailer. And we were like, I don't know. It's another...
And then you can
it's
also
that
show
theme.
the clip where Justin and Brant convinced me to buy it mid-podcast.
This is true. And now you
did it. Yeah.
so into it now, which is ridiculous.
I'd just like to point out that in my current... I have played it today, and I am currently at a playtime of 274 hours.
Wow. That's hectic. That's
so
almost
you
more
all
than
know what it
Skyrim
is
for
at
you,
this
right?
stage.
It is more than Skyrim for me at the moment.
Wow.
It's my most played game from recorded hours in Steam at the moment.
That's bullshit. So
I'll enter a real drum roll instead of my finger tap. What do you got, Justin?
Does that sound like a drum roll?
No, but your camera did a fucking amazing. Yeah.
It's Elden Ring, obviously. It's Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Round of
Of course it
applause.
is.
The crowd goes wild.
Of course it is. Come on. No,
it's no surprise.
We all spent, except for Justin who bitched out, we all spent enormous hours in it. It was a great time. The amount of work that went into the game in general was just fantastic.
I think I still put about 60 hours into it, and I didn't finish it.
Yeah, that's a long pump on.
It's not a small amount of time.
That's a lot of times.
It's hilarious
I didn't
you
get
didn't
to
finish
the
it
end.
in 60 hours.
I just did a whole lot of other shit. Like, I did a whole lot of exploring and just traveling back and forth, and like
I'd love
I
to give you shit, but we
through...
all know I learned nothing about that world, so I'm not going to do that.
I didn't learn any lore at all, but I did enjoy the sights, and I did enjoy the monsters, and the boss fights were next level insane. Like, all the way from like the beginnings all the way through. Like, any boss fight just had an element of wow, and it didn't matter what it was. It was like, holy shit. And it's not just on like the whole mechanics of it. It was the look of it. It was the story in that fight. It was the stages, or the those
The
different
arenas,
the arena itself, the environment became sometimes your enemies.
Actually, that's a good point, because
bullshit.
despite lack of lore knowledge, because I didn't pick it up for whatever dumbass reason I played the game, every character, and especially the bosses, you could feel their emotion and their drive and their motivation in the fight. Which is wild and sounds really weirdly like I was too invested, but I learned nothing about that game. I had to message Jace consistently and be like, what the fuck is this? Where is this? What is that? Why is any of this happening? I still am not quite sure what a Tarnished is.
Tarnished
me neither.
is someone that is brought to the lands between to help mend the fractured.
So you're a dead person. So you're an isekai.
Oh god.
I think you already made this reference, and we already
Yeah.
told
I
you
did,
to get
but
fucked.
I'm trying to like really. I
Even
really
Barlin
want to
thinks that
understand.
you're a fuckwit. You tell him, Barlin.
I really want to understand how it honestly isn't. But
Because
like,
they're not technically like dying and going to this new place.
Mm.
They are dead, and
They're in a new place.
yeah, I guess like it's hard to
yeah, I was
explain.
like,
So it works on a similar premise to how Dark Souls does, where it's a cycle of rebirth because the rune of destined death is still in place. So after you kill Malekith, that's when the rune of destined death is in play and people can die permanently. And so because of that, you're constantly reliving. But you're basically brought across to the lands between.
yeah. So it feels very like like a purgatory situation where you've been dumped in this place and you have to deal with their situation.
Yeah, basically you've got to either fix the cycle or end it.
I think I liked that, even still now, people are still finding things about this game and just being like, oh, fuck, here's something.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is a whole
The
new thing that I
intense amount
found.
of
It's like,
detail.
holy shit. How many cookies and like how many hidden areas are still not found within this world?
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. For
Like
it to have been out, how long's it been out now? Like 8 months? Something stupid.
I think it came out near May or something like that. Somewhere
Yeah.
around there.
Actually, I got real mad because I did my first run. I was really getting the shits with the game because I wasn't learning a lot of lore. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to kill the dragons, get all the dragon spells, do that. Kill the main dragons that give you cool spells. Turns out those spells do dick. No one who plays a good Elden Run, they don't use those spells very much. None of them are great. They can be utilized cleverly, but none of them cause mass damage. And then watching one of Jace's challenge runs, I was like, what the fuck is that dragon? I've never seen that dragon. Where did that come from?
Placidusax, was that the one with 2 heads, or was it Fortisax, the red lightning guy?
Both
So
for
weirdly
me.
enough, like
Both for me.
weirdly enough, I found the one that like you start fighting and disappears and appears somewhere later.
Fortisax.
No, I got that one.
Placidusax, sorry.
No, and I got the 2-headed one and the golden spell. So you fought one that doesn't actually give you a spell, from what I gather.
Yeah, Fortisax, he does give you a spell. Yeah.
Okay. Well, whichever one you fought in like an underground weird region that I had never fucking seen, I was like, what? How is this still happening? This game
time
is
for a playthrough again, man. You've got to do it.
So I traded mine in.
Nope,
I kept mine. No, I kept mine because I got a collector's edition with a whole fucking thing, and I was like, you know what? This game genuinely, it's not a change my life experience by any means, but it had a good turning point in my gaming experience because I hadn't played a Souls game before at all. Elden Ring was my entry, and that's probably a good thing because from what I gather, it's not easier, but it is more approachable than other Souls games. And I love the shit out of it. And the next time they release something, like I will do pre-order and I will be there because of it. It genuinely deserves Game of the Year from a crazy weeb perspective.
Yep.
Well,
yeah,
similar sort of concept, except I started with Elden Ring as like the first Soulsborne game that I ever finished. Went back, played through Dark Souls 1, and the rest is history. I've now finished all the Dark Souls games multiple times. I'm on my 4th playthrough of Elden Ring now, I think. Yeah, 4th. Elden Ring's done a lot for me in 6 months.
That's okay.
Hold up. Have you played Demon Souls?
No, it's a PlayStation exclusive.
Along with Bloodborne?
Yep. Which is interesting though, because Demon Souls is the whole reason that Dark Souls is called Dark Souls. Because Sony wouldn't let them release a game to multiple platforms with the Demon Souls name. Because Sony commissioned them to make that game. So then they're like, fuck it, Dark Souls.
Sounds
That's
about
awesome.
right. Yeah. But I think it's hard to argue. Even Justin,
Yeah,
who didn't
I think
finish
it's
the
unanimous.
game,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
we don't agree on much. But for 2022, Elden Ring's got to win it.
Here's your
there isn't
award
a
from
good
Soft. Have mug.
there isn't a good reason to dispute otherwise. Like of all the games, and they've all been fun. We've had fun in all of them. We've talked about their cons
Except
and pros.
Crossfire
but-
X.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had no fun there except for making fun
Yeah.
of Crossfire X.
Yeah, true.
None
Yeah.
of them have brought the same amount of desire to play, I think is how I'm going to describe it, because it
Yeah.
wasn't always good. Trust me,
No,
wasn't always fucking good.
fucking
Sometimes
infuriating.
I loathed turning the game on,
Yep.
but nonetheless, I always wanted to.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like that. It's just a heroin addiction at this point.
Mm.
You just want to be hurt.
Yeah, that's the
That's
the Elden Ring
review.
experience.
Heroin addiction
Yeah.
for 2022.
Maybe we should team up with FromSoft, because I feel like we have a similar experience with the way we create content.
What, just pure pain and misery.
Yeah, like you know how we let Brady in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then we kill him after every episode and he regenerates for the next one.
I wish.
if I don't regenerate, I reincarnate you guys for a special. So it's happening
My
one way or
God.
another.
Unfortunately. But I think that sort of rounds out our night with Elden Ring being king.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. I fucking hate agreeing, but
Mm.
there's no
There's
disputing.
no other. Yeah, there's no other that'll get to that point. No
Yeah.
way. Even just for hours of watched videos on YouTube / Twitch streams and all the rest of it, there's no way any other game this year will compare to where Elden Ring is currently sitting.
Yeah.
It has the throne by a long shot, and I think there's a
Absolutely.
lot of people out there trying to claim that other games are even close. Not a fucking chance.
No,
yeah.
so the thing
There's
is,
a
you have
lot
to
of
be
claims for
maidenless.
Ragnarok.
Yeah, there
Nah,
is.
nah.
They think it's climbing, but you know they'll win something. It's just not going to.
Oh, for sure.
It ain't going to be that
No,
trophy.
You need to be maidenless, and you need to do a bleed build, and you need to watch Basement Discourse next week.
And Symphorani.